Welcome back to RockCrawlinJeeps. We're taking a break on this thing for the week. She's been getting all the love lately, and well, this one got jealous. So, done a couple of wheeling trips, done a couple of recoveries, and just some kind of street driving to kind of get this thing broke in and see what all we needed to address. And it became abundantly apparent that I needed to do ball joints in a very bad way. So we checked this out, and there's just a ton of play in those ball joints. Confirmed it, checked the wheel bearings, everything else is nice and tight. That's just some bad ball joints. Unfortunately, we're running Moogs in there right now, and they just didn't seem to hold up. So, that being said, if you follow us on Instagram, you saw us unbox what we're about to show you. If you don't, well, here they are. Now, these are from Rare Parts, Inc. These are 100% made in America ball joints for your Dana 30, and these things are pretty special. These are dual load carrying, so that means the whole load isn't resting on this anymore. This nice big old one for our upper is now going to take about 30% of that load. So when we go in, your normal upper ball joint presses in this way from the top. Well, these press in from the bottom. Then you take that, you put that in, you thread it down, then you adjust your preload, and then you have a preloaded dual load carrying setup. It's going to do a couple things. It's going to make our ball joints last pretty much longer than the Jeep or the Dana 30, whichever one comes first. And all we're ever really going to have to do in the future is grease them. Like there's no maintenance. You just grease it and you enjoy it. You don't have to worry about it. So we're really happy to be partnered up with Rare Parts. I cannot thank them enough for getting these to me so quickly. And I look forward to exploring a lot of Utah while not having to worry about ball joints. So that said, we're going to get into installing these things. So this is probably the most needed tool on a trail with a Grand Cherokee. A 13 millimeter 12-point socket. If you have a standard 13 millimeter 6-point, you're not going to be able to get these axle bolts off. And if you're not able to get these off, you're not able to take the unit bearing off. If you can't get the unit bearing off, well, you're going to have a bad day, because you need to be able to do that to change out an axle shaft on the trail. So always make sure you have a 12-point 13 millimeter with you. There's a couple other various sockets and stuff like that that come in handy with these on the trail. Who wants to see us do a video on like just what to carry? You know, what's needed for a Grand Cherokee on the trails, and what kind of spares packages we keep with us, and things like that, and how we carry them. So if you want to see something like that, leave a comment and let us know, and we'll be happy to film something like that. Got our axle shaft out, and we discovered my outer axle seal is pretty well toasted. So what that means is I've got to look into what I needed to do to get some new ones and get those rebuilt, or who knows, maybe even just leave them out. I don't know if I'm getting any benefit from them at all anyway. So what we're going to do, I'll just go ahead and show you. This right here is just, well, it's pretty bad. It's not in the best of shape. So we're now going to take these safety cotter keys out. Once we get these out, we'll take our knuckle out of the way, and we'll get our new ball joints pressed in. A lot of times it's not just going to fall free, because these ball joints tend to like press into a groove and they'll hold it up. So what we did, took a hammer and you hit it right here. There's actually a casting there for you to hit. Hit right here. It's going to take a couple of good whacks and it'll fall right out. So once it falls right out, and what I like to do, I'll leave the bolts on the ball joints nice and loose. That way it has somewhere to go, but it doesn't completely fall out and, you know, land on me or whoever's helping me. Be kind. Clean the tools before you return them. We borrowed this from our local parts store, and it is covered in grease. And I get it. It's a dirty job. Things get dirty, but clean the tool before you return it. I don't want to clean off all your axle grease. I'll clean off mine. That's fine. You know, be a decent human being. Clean the tools before you return them. So we got our upper out. Not in terrible shape, but not in the greatest. The majority of our play is coming out of this guy right here. They shouldn't move like that. It's a bit too much free play. A little bit of movement is okay, but like if I grab this right here, like you can move it, but it's really tight. And that's okay because ball joints have to move. That's what they're designed to do. They're just not supposed to move like that. That's where all our play comes from. So now we're going to go ahead and get this cup set up, and we'll go from there. So our press comes through the upper, and we've got it loaded up now. So now we're just going to put a little bit of pressure on this ball joint. I think I already see it moving. Yep, there she goes. And this just shows, you don't need crazy tools. Just doing this with a set of hand tools to put ball joints on one of these. You'll notice we have this crosshatch here. I'm very curious as to what that means. So we're going to go to our instructions. And this is what's cool about this whole kit. Everything you need is in here, to include some pretty sweet stickers. So who doesn't love stickers? What is it, like 5 horsepower per sticker or something? So we're going to go ahead and open up our bag. We haven't looked at any of this prior. We haven't done anything. So we're going to struggle to open it. Some quality American-made plastic right there too. So we've got all our hardware and stuff in there. Got our stickers. And here we have our instructions. So we are, here we go. This is really cool. So dual load carrying ball joint installation instructions. Tool list. It tells you everything you're going to need. TJ specific, JK specific, ball joint press, torque wrench, long nose pliers, side cutters, like everything. You can't screw this up. I mean, I'm sure you can, but you can even YouTube an installation video at Rare Parts. So here's what we're going to go through. Oh man, these things are dope. So grease fitting direction. We're going to take to the rear. Lower ball joint grease fitting update. Yeah. So flush fit designs, the grease hole facing directly to the front or the rear of the vehicle, angled a few degrees is acceptable. So that answers our question. We wanted to know how to install these. Most of the time it's pretty simple. You just toss them in there. These are a bit different than a standard ball joint, so they come with a bit better instruction set. I am super, super impressed with this. This is above and beyond what you get with anything. Then again, they also showed up in like a gun case, so they like to go above and beyond. We've got our ball joint in there. We got it started. We stopped. We checked on how it's pressed in there, and now I'm going to send it the rest of the way home. This is a little bit unconventional. Sometimes you just got to make do with what you've got, and that's what we're doing. So it is what it is. I'm using that outer axle seal that was damaged as a spacer because, well, that's what we got to do. We've done step 3. We've got our lower ball joint installed. Now we're got to go to step 4, which is our upper here. Excuse me. So insert upper ball joint. Ensure outer lip is facing outboard. Note: Rare Parts design upper installs from the bottom up, opposite of OEM. Normally, a ball joint would install pressed from the top down. Ours goes the same way that the lower does, from the bottom up. This allows it to be a dual load carrying design. So we've got our press set up just how they're showing us. The bottom of the C here grabs on the bottom of the ball joint. We have a cup that allows this to come up. Now we're going to press it in. While keeping in mind, I don't believe that this cup is going to be tall enough, so we may have to figure out a way to get a little more length out of it. So we've got our upper pressed in. We have our makeshift spacer on there. Drop that out of the way. Man, that thing is pretty. So, boom. We did take off the upper here. This preload adjuster. So And that was just to get us a little bit more clearance for our ball joint tool. Unfortunately, the one that we rented is not equipped with the really nice tall cups that we need. So all we had to do was take that off. That gave us the clearance that we needed to be able to do it. You know, unfortunately, I had a bad outer axle seal, and we just used it as a spacer. Unfortunate part, I'm not going to put that back on because it's toasted. So we got that done. So now we can make this look proper. Now, I know you've heard me say how much I despise orange in other videos. I don't despise this color orange. It's like getting RCVs or Reed Racing knuckles, you know? This is that proper orange. Symbolizes quality, not boredom in the garage. I mean, look at that. That's beautiful. American-made, top-quality ball joints. Now I'm not going to have to worry about it. So, very, very excited to have these things in here. Went in relatively easy. You know, there was no real struggle. The only bit of it that kind of sucked was not having the right size cup. So we're on step 7 here, and it says install retaining nut and tighten with an adjustable wrench to approximately 100 foot-pounds. My arms aren't super calibrated to that, so I'm just going to make it tight. But I do like in here, it says tip. To protect finish, the nut can be wrapped in painter's tape. So we wrapped ours in painter's tape. I want my orange to be purty. We're just getting our grease fitting installed here. Just trying to make sure it's nice and tight.
What size wrench are you using there, Zach?
What is this, a 17? No, it's a 7. No, wait, it's an 8. 8 millimeter. Use an 8. It's nice and easy. It is a little tight in here because you're on the sea, but not anything you can't take care of. So we got that put in here. Now we're going to read up in our instructions about how to set some preload. So this top cap goes into here and it screws in and it sets the preload on the ball joint. Well, how it does that is just, we have this Allen key here. This Allen key goes right into this bit here, and then we tighten it this way. The approximate torque for this is 50 inch-pounds, not to exceed 55. They've designed this wrench basically so you can tighten this till it stops. Once the wrench flexes, that's it, you're done. You've set your preload. So we are going to set it that way. Then I'm going to take a torque wrench and see where it clicks at. I think it could be kind of fun. But for now, we're just going to put it in there. We're just going to get it started so it's in there for when we put our wheel and tire back on. I had taken this off and because I didn't want to mess it up while we were pressing in this lower ball joint. So now we're going to go ahead and toss our boot back on. Just get that on there. Get it on there nice and tight so we don't have to worry about our grease spilling out later. And then we've got our lower nut and our upper nut. Lots of nut talk. Just that easy. We're now going to torque our stuff, and we're going to torque our lower ball joint using a 1 1/16 socket to 75 to 90 foot-pounds. So I'm going to go ahead and set our torque wrench here to 80. I feel like that's a nice middle ground. And we'll go ahead and tighten that up real quick. We got our bottom torqued. Now we're going to get our upper torqued if it ever gets tight.
What are you setting that at?
65 foot-pounds for now. We have a window of 65 to 75 on these. So we'll start at our bottom end, and then if we don't like it, we'll go a bit tighter. We've gotten our ball joints on. Now we've got our cotter keys in. And we're going to get them bent up so that we don't have to worry about anything coming off. Now, this is where you do kind of want to be careful. I'll take a little spilling diff fluid. But you want to be careful on your axle seals so that you don't rip the seal inside. I know a lot of you have probably had a problem on the trail with these Dana 30 axle nuts, or not axle nuts, wheel bearing bolts. Coming seized in there and not wanting to come off. There is a product for that, believe it or not. You wind up looking like the Tin Man anytime you use this crap, but it'll keep your nuts and bolts from seizing together. So we're gonna go ahead and put a little anti-seize on everything and get it put back together. Me and this locking lug nut are about to fight.
Well, you can't let them beautiful race lines get taken from you.
No, I can't. I like these wheels. Big shout out to my friends at Raceline. Love these wheels. Love you guys. You guys are awesome. Thanks for making a great product. Now let's go to the other side. Wheels are back on. Everything's back where it needs to be. Still leaking oil out of the axle tubes because the diff was a little bit overfilled. So don't worry about that. We know what's happening. Just is what it is. So we're going to go ahead and tighten up our preload the way that it is suggested in the instructions, which is to tighten it all the way up until the plug stops and this wrench twists. So let's go ahead and do that. Taking our first little test drive. Just kind of wanted to see what it was going to feel like. I've also got a transfer case leak going on, so I put a GoPro up underneath attached to the long arms, and we're watching that on the screen here, trying to figure out exactly why the transfer case output seal that only has a couple 100 miles on it's leaking. So we're going to hit the road and kind of see what we think about how nice and tight our front suspension is, and we'll report back. Just got done with the test drive. I couldn't be happier with how tight the front end feels. We have a couple of boots to replace on the front end, kind of some maintenance to do, but the ball joints made all the difference in the world. We went from having loose steering that was all over the road to nice and tight, not having to worry about a thing. So next up, we're going to go get her aligned and make sure everything's nice and happy. We're also going to go finally get our wheels and tires balanced. And who knows, we may even throw a steering stabilizer on this thing. Not that they do anything, but they do make the ride a little bit smoother as far as input. And if you think they cure death wobble, you're wrong. So go ahead, go check out Rare Parts, go see what they've got. We can't thank them enough for their support, and I can't say it enough, what a quality product. So go give them a like, go give them a follow, go see what they've got that you want to use on your projects. They do more than just Jeep stuff. And, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel as well. So, thanks, and we'll see you next week.